Hello Bulldog fans, Steve Robertson back with an update on Stark Villains. I'm happy to report that the publisher and printer will be done with production on Stark Villains the 18th, which is 4 days from now. The book will soon be shipped to the home office here in Starkville, and so we'll have the book signed and distributed and get it out to you guys that have already pre-ordered, and also the bookstores, and so it'll be available everywhere sooner rather than later. For those of you that are pre-ordered, obviously we're going to get those books to you quickly as possible. They'll be signed and personalized per your request. If you're still looking to go that route, you can do so at starkvillainsthebook.com. I wanted to do something today a little bit different. I've got my reading glasses here, so I wanted to do a little bit of reading and share with you a bit of an excerpt from a chapter with Coach Jackie Sherrill. I interviewed Coach Sherrill not just about the Mississippi State-Ole Miss rivalry, but I just kind of felt, Coach, you've got a real distinct perhaps perspective because of the fact that you've coached and played in so many great in-state rivalries around the country in college football. And so I asked Coach about that. So let's look at that and see what Coach Sherrill had to say. All rivalries are a little bit different, Sherrill explained. Pitt and Penn State was for the supremacy of the East. It started years before with Jock Sutherland, and Pitt dominated. Penn State eventually turned it around, and then they dominated for a while. When I was there, we were able to sort of move it back and forth. There are really none quite like Alabama and Auburn. There is a real hatred between the two schools that existed long before Coach Bryant and Coach Jordan. It was pretty bad even when Coach Bryant was playing at Alabama. Texas and Texas A&M was always about supremacy of the state, and for the most part, A&M had always been considered Texas' little brother. I asked Coach to kind of go a little more in depth about some of those things just because of the fact that he was a player at Alabama, Auburn. And so he's kind of grown up with some of this stuff, being a Mississippi guy and moving on into a professional life of college football. I think when you look at the impact that each game has on the state, you have to go with the Iron Bowl first. I think after that, you'd have to go with the Egg Bowl. Then Texas, Texas A&M, Pitt, Penn State, and then Washington, Washington State. That game between the Washington schools is important, but it's just not on a level as those others. The thing about Mississippi State and Mississippi, and you'll notice he said Mississippi, even the whole way through, all these years later, he still won't call them Ole Miss, is the size of the state of Mississippi. You live with that sort of thing like you do with Alabama, Auburn. You live with that rivalry every single day. Everybody in the state is wearing one school's colors or the others. In the rivalry between Mississippi State and Mississippi, it's sort of like Texas and Texas A&M, where you had one team dominate for a while, and when that changed, things intensified because there was no longer a guarantee every year who was going to win. I thought you would find that of interest, and so if you're interested in hearing what else Coach Sherrill had to say about his experiences at Mississippi State as well as his experience in the rivalry against Ole Miss, go ahead and order Stark Villains and pick it up. It's going to be a great opportunity for you to learn a lot more about Mississippi State, some behind-the-scenes things in the words and memories of the people who coached and lived them. And Coach Sherrill's not alone. I interviewed Rocky Falker and Coach Bob Tyler and Ron Polk and Derek Pegues and Anthony Dixon and Morgan William. And some great other stories, including Robert Bell, talked about him and Frank Dowsing's time being recruited by Mississippi State in a time when our state was kind of torn apart by the civil rights movement, spoke about that, as well as his experiences and what a great experience it was to win the 1970 Egg Bowl over Ole Miss. So those stories and so much more in Stark Villains. Again, if you haven't done so, please go to starkvillainsthebook.com and pre-order. And we'll look to seeing you soon at a book signing.